Thank you, Chair. So, Professor Lilly, I wanted to go back to a comment you made that we need to be relevant to countries in the region, and then you described some of the failures in the Indo-Pacific strategy to be relevant. So I'm just going to quote you from the Canada West Foundation report, one of their briefing notes that they put out online. It says, repeated studies have found that an LNG export industry equivalent to 30 million tons per annum in British Columbia would inject about $7.4 billion into the Canadian economy over 30 years, along with supporting 65,000 jobs. And then goes on to explain that the export opportunities are mostly in Asia and LNG markets. When you talked about the failures, you said time is precious. Do you think we've missed the boat on an opportunity to export Canadian LNG into Asian markets?
I don't think, thank you for the question, Mr. Chair. I don't think that we have necessarily missed the boat, but there's a lot more we could be doing. We have sent some of our allies packing, telling them that there's none left for them. We're not going to build additional infrastructure beyond what is coming. And so, I'm excited about the successes that we have, but we have to do a lot more. And the messages that Canada is sending right now are very mixed, and lots of countries wonder why we aren't doing more to provide them with the LNG that they need, particularly in the current climate. And so we're seeing other partnerships go around Canada, essentially, to secure energy from partners that are willing to sell it to them, including the United States.
Are there any specific countries like Japan, beyond Japan, because Japan is the typical example that's given for an opportunity, or used to be an opportunity for Canadian LNG? Are there any other markets that we could reach as a country through the Indo-Pacific strategy that you see that could use our energy supply as a safe source of supply?
Well, in the past, I know that Korea has been interested, and I don't know whether they've moved on at this point to seek from others. But whenever these conversations come up, and I think, I'm fortunate being in Ottawa that I'm regularly invited to speak with foreign diplomats that are here. And the message that they constantly receive is that this isn't something Canada wants to explore. And so how many times they ask and are rebuffed before they move on to others that are happy to sell to them, I couldn't say.
Okay, thank you, Professor. Professor Nagy, then I have a question because you said mini-lateral deals. So why not, shouldn't we have a mini-lateral deal, let's say the government of Japan, to export our LNG to them? Wouldn't that be an example of kind of using our comparative advantage, which is our West Coast access LNG export to a country like Japan? Couldn't we do a mini-lateral deal with the government of Japan to help them get the energy that they need?
So thank you very much for the question. So when I speak of mini-lateralism, I'm thinking about partnerships with 3 or 4 countries to deal with one potential functional issue. So I think that export to Japan on LNG would be a bilateral agreement. And here, when we're talking about bilateral agreement, the comparative advantages may be Japan's ability to build the technologies to export the LNG, and Canada would be the provider. So I think you're slightly mischaracterizing what I mean by mini-lateral. But I'm fully on the same page that I think that this is a partnership that has comparative advantages and shared interests, and that there's an opportunity for Japan to be a country that helps Canada open up its markets to energy resources, not only to Japan, but to key partners within the region.
So, Professor Nagy, then I'm going to go back to the Canada-Japan Action Plan. 2022, this was 6 areas were outlined in it between Ottawa and Tokyo, and they agreed to bolster cooperation. This is from your writing, so I'm just referencing it. Point number 5 talked about energy security. So wouldn't LNG exports and providing more of clean-burning Canadian energy to a market like Japan help them meet their energy needs while also removing other sources of energy that are from conflict zones, or their over-reliance on other countries that are not as secure a supplier the way Canadians are? Like, I thought this action plan that you've referenced in the past in your writing could form the basis of like maybe this mini-lateral deals with other countries as well, could it not?
Absolutely. So I think here we've lost an opportunity with some of our environmental policies back in Canada, where we have not been able to export to the countries that actually rely on safe, transparent, and stable energy resources. And that's something that Canada can be. Again, I think it can be an energy superpower, whether it's through this joint action plan with Japan or working with 3 or 4 other countries within the region to build those steady supply chains of energy, but also critical minerals to the region to ensure that their economies are stable and that they can continue to provide the goods that they do to Canada and Canadian citizens.
Very short, Chair. So for a country like Japan, how important it is to have a safe and stable supply of energy?
It's critical. They don't have indigenous energy resources. They export nearly 90 to 95% of their energy. And to work with a stable country like Canada that has huge energy resources would be a key asset. And I would advocate deepening that relationship and in using our energy and critical resources to benefit Canadians, but also to be that energy superpower that supplies the 3rd largest economy on the planet.
Thank you, Mr. Kimmich. We'll